you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for Anita Among and Tayewo?
That is laughable. Why would we pay when we have nominated them as SEC?
Every party has been represented in Uganda's parliament for 10 years. We only by one MP, you yourself and my daughter, Susan.
Every Friday 9 p.m., it's One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
I am the quest, giver of life, Alpha without Omega. I am Africa.
Hail to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, a land with the world's most beautiful, captivating features. Hills, mountains and valleys, the enigmatic animal species in the wild. A land where Africa is condensed into one small country with authentic endowments of nature and perfect safari. Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, is without the crowds with abundant primates, wildlife and stunning scenery. Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, takes you beyond the guidebooks, the known features, and gives you the insights unmatched. Keep it UBC TV, where we inspire Uganda with authentic beauty and nature of our motherland. Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Discover the fountain.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Well, good morning and thank you very much for sticking around to UBC, and it's now time for us to have a conversation around business. And this is Good Morning Uganda Extra, and I'm glad to have your company. And for you who has been with us, thank you very much for making time to tune into your national broadcaster at this particular time. Now, this weekend is going to be an interesting one. I wouldn't want to call it an action-packed weekend, but I would prefer saying a weekend that will be talking matters business, because the 5th biannual Private Sector CEO Forum, which is hosted by the Presidential CEO Forum in collaboration with the Office of the Prime Minister, will be held this very weekend. Now, the theme for this year's retreat is Battle Greenfield, transforming northern Uganda into a commercialized production and logistical hub for exports. This is a conversation we're going to be having this morning, and it's a conversation that you, our viewer, can also take part in by asking a few questions concerning the same to probably understand what the entire retreat is all about, the significance, the importance, and why you as a private sector player in the country needs to be part of this particular retreat. That is by attending or following all the proceedings as it may be provided on different platforms on the day of kickoff. Now, my guest this morning is a board member of the Presidential CEO Forum, and this is Deo Kayembe. A very good morning. Deo Kayembe. A very good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Morning, sir. Good morning, viewers. It is great pleasure to be with you this morning. My name is Deo Kayemba, Chairman, Technical Committee of the CEO Forum, FIFSBA, and the Chairman, Uganda Manufacturers Association. It's a pleasure having you this morning.
Okay, and pleasure is ours having you on set this morning here on UBC. And of course, we wish to understand fully the role of the Presidential CEO Forum. If you can give us an overview of that so that my viewer can get fit into the context of our conversation this morning.
Okay. The President CEO Forum is a hybrid of private sector players and the key government entities that drive the economy. His Excellency the President, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in 2020 noted that private sector was not fully participating in the decision-making, in the formulation, in the evaluation of government policies. In his wisdom, he set up the presidential, that's why it is called the presidential, because it came into force by a presidential directive. He set up the Presidential CEO Forum, comprised of private sector CEOs and key government ministries and entities. Why private sector CEO and key government entities? Many times when laws, when policies are being implemented, the government consults. They consult widely. But many of these conferences you see, the CEOs, the companies, the players in the private sector space are sending junior officers who don't have all the knowledge about the effects, the impact of this. So the president said, let me tap the top. So he tapped from the CEOs. So this CEO Forum brings together the top CEOs in this country and almost all the key government agencies to discuss how to formulate policies, which policies are not working, which policies are working, which policies needs to be tweaked to work better, what is the impact from the private sector eye. So this is what the CEO Forum does. And every year we have 2 retreats. That's why we call it biannual. We have 2 retreats where we sit, focus on a given area of the economy, see how it is functioning, see the laws that are in place, see the interventions the government is doing, see how private sector is playing in that space, find out how best we can realign the policies, how best the private sector can do better in some areas, and make a recommendation to His Excellency the President through the Prime Minister, and they run it through Cabinet and do the necessary adjustment. We think this is working very well because us, the private sector on the ground, are able to give them first-hand information of the way we see things.
Okay, let's talk about, the cooperation between the government and the private sector CEOs and all the private sector in general, ever since you started with these retreats, because you've got to look at the impact the retreats have been having over the years. How impactful have they been in strengthening the relationship between the government and the private sector players?
I think it has been very, very impactful. I have not seen a movement in government. We have had so many of them that has had such an impact like the CEO Forum. Because I can tell you 90 more than 90% of the recommendations we make are taken up with the government and either put into law or modified into policies, 90%. And here we have to thank His Excellency the President and the Prime Minister. They have done their part. Because our position, we don't just go there to discuss. Our position is researched. We go with empirical data. And we are able to demonstrate that this, if changed like this, will work. And this is what has made the CEO Forum very successful. I can give you an example. The last retreat was in Jinja.
Okay.
And was on e-mobility. Now, after our recommendation, you can see the number of electric boda that are increasing on the road.
Besides, last time we were in Jinja for the e-mobility expo as well, the first of its kind.
Yes, but after that retreat, if you from Welemanzan, you can see now the bodas in Kampala is fast transiting to e-bikes.
True. Many
you can see the battery swap points are increasing by the day. You can see petrol stations putting charging points. These are our recommendations. And the government, we are coming through with our part, and the government is coming through with our part in terms of facilitation, in terms of all these policies.
Okay, and you mentioned something about Jinja, and I would like to also know, when you look at when you look at the themes that you normally select, now you've said the recommendations you came up with the last retreat in Jinja have been demonstrated with the way every company, even the motor vehicle companies, are adapting to providing these vehicles, electricity vehicles within the country. But if we are to look at some of the themes, what normally, drives the themes? What motivates, coming up with the themes? Do you sit with the CEOs to create and
No, we look at the gaps.
Okay.
And as I told you, our engagements are informed by empirical data. We look at where the economy is not performing, where there are opportunities that are not being utilized. Yes.
Okay. And, well, now let's turn our focus onto the retreats, because here we are having a conversation on the 5th retreat that is coming up. Let's look into the retreats themselves, the importance of having them. Because one may wonder, why do we have, now this is the 5th time we are holding the same retreat, meaning we've seen a series from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, now 5th, and we will definitely be expecting the 6th. But looking at the importance of these retreats, how important are they? And why would a private sector player or a private sector CEO highly be anticipating and excited about such retreats?
As I have said before, these recommendations from these retreats are taken up almost wholesale by government.
Okay.
Because they are researched, they are agreed. But the other aspect, let me just talk about two. We had one retreat at the president's home in Tungamu. Many talk about import substitution. Import substitution is, we agreed as an economy, as a government, that we need to utilize our local raw materials before we can import. And we also agreed that we are not going to export our local raw materials, because when you export it raw, you're exporting jobs. You're exporting money to power companies that create, generate electricity. So we agreed on those two. And I can tell you right now, from that, third retreat, that about now 20% of the steel we make from Uganda, the raw materials, the iron ore from southern Uganda, from Kigezi. and we are seeing a lot of traction in this area, that we are saving close to $200, $300 million right now in import substitution because we are using our own raw materials. Do you get me?
I am.
That is where the impact is. If your import bill has been so much, like in steel, which I know very well, the import bill was $1 billion. Now, if you cut it off by 200, 300,
okay,
do you see the impact?
I am saying.
And do you see the impact to the economy? Do you see that the dollars that remain can be used for something else?
Added in production, added in other government initiatives.
If we say we are not going to export our raw materials, take for example, grain, kasoli. Let's not, if we say we are not going to export it raw, or let's add value here.
Okay.
Do you know how many jobs you create in that value chain?
And the president has been very vocal when it comes to
no,
value
it's
addition.
very clear. It's not even, it's not vocal. It's very clear and intentional.
When it comes to value addition.
When it comes to value addition, it's clear and intentional. And I think, I don't know where he got this. He has been studying each of the value chains.
Okay.
And articulating where we need to go. I want to take you a bit to maize. Do you know the maize husks is a big input into the poultry value chain?
I'm learning something new.
Yes. So if you import maize, export, what happens to the poultry value chain? Why don't you process, export processed flour, and then the husks you feed into the poultry, also export eggs,
yes,
export beef.
You can as well, export the husks themselves. Chicken, yeah? You can even export the husks if you have
you can also
capacity.
add value. You can add value on the husks by enriching them with our mukene and these other items and export it. Because it is another value chain that you need to do. But you can also export eggs. You can export yogurt, mayonnaise from eggs.
I want to stand into into a position of, let's say, a farmer. Let's say a maize farmer. You as the Presidential CEO Forum have been doing this countless, you've been doing these countless tours all over the country, doing mobilization, doing all lots of engagements with various stakeholders in the private sector, and as well as encouraging and giving more awareness and support to all of those that need it. When you look at most of our small-scale farmers in this situation, and I like the fact that you've shared with us from the perspective of the maize, for example, because many of our farmers are into maize growing here. When you look at the section of our farmers who are still growing on a small scale, where do you think they need to, what do you think they need to do to at least expand? Because we're looking at also exporting like you've shared.
Okay. Let me start, and I want straight to go to northern Uganda.
Okay.
Our farmers need to transit from subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture. The president has been advocating for a 4-acre model for the smallholder farmers. But for us as industrialists, we are advocating for full commercialization of agriculture. Commercialization means that you are going to use mechanization, you are going to use irrigation, you are going to do a big acreage of land. And when we looked around, this is a commercialization of agriculture is our next bullet or projectile. Let me not call it a bullet. Bullet kill people. Our next projectile to the first world. Because when you look, for example, look at northern Uganda, and I can tell you 101 value chains, and I will tell them to you one by one. While here in Kampala and around the central region here, eastern, you are boasting about acquiring land 50 by 100, and you young men go around saying, I bought land, I bought a 50 by 100, and you are so proud about it. People in northern Uganda are holding on to 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 acres of land. Vast, arable land in northern Uganda. What does that tell you? That tells you that the first raw material, the first factor of commercial agriculture is fully available in northern Uganda. Fully.
Okay.
So that means that we can now tweak a few things, give them quality seeds, give them irrigation equipment, give them tractors, aggregate their produce, and they will be flying, and they will be taking us to the first world.
And well, speaking of northern Uganda, by the way, you get to also realize with the Gulu Logistics Hub, there is a lot of potential with the facility. When it comes to storage facilities and also providing a huge platform for many of those in the exporting industry, especially those in northern Uganda, to tap into and also connect to not only Uganda, but across the region when it comes to exports and imports in the country. But we now turn our focus on the theme of this year, because rather this biannual retreat. This particular one is focusing on Battle to Greenfield, transforming northern Uganda into a commercialized logistic hub for export. Now, I did ask earlier what normally motivates these themes, and I wish to know what was behind this particular one. And you've given us a starter with the with what you've just shared about Gulu. But now let's get into the theme.
From battlefield to greenfield, you know, for the longest time, northern Uganda was involved in insurgencies. You remember the RRA, the Konya and the others. People were displaced. People were moving from one place, and they were not able to concentrate on production, on growing their crops. So, for all the years, but when peace returned to northern Uganda, they started making an effort. And I tell you, right now, northern Uganda is food secure. They have enough food to eat. What do you do to them? They have land, they are food secure. You have to provide for them facilitation to commercialize their agriculture so that they can earn much more. That's why we are saying from battlefield, from insurgents to greenfield, to production of food crops that can be exported. Now let's come to Gulu Logistics Hub. And we are very grateful to our partners, the MasterCard Foundation, that have put in place this Gulu Logistics Hub. Gulu Logistics Hub is now the trigger to export. And I have already said, Uganda is placed in such a position that we can sell to the entire African continent. Take, for example, Gulu. On the east, we have Kenya. On the northeast, we have Somalia. In the north, we have Southern Sudan, and Northern Sudan now will also need our food. The other side, you have Central African Republic. You have Congo. You have all these countries surrounding us need food, because some of them are still in wars, insurgents. They need food from us. So if you place a logistics hub in Gulu, you are placing it at the center of the market. Our challenge, and which government, which also informs this kind of retreats, and is that now we need to do the other things. Our partners built a hub, put it there. We need to allow the private sector to build the storage, to build the cleaning facilities, to build the parking facilities within the hub. Government has already put in the customs department to clear export cargo. We already have Uganda Railways running the hub. Now we need, how do we evacuate the export cargo? That is the thing. How do we move the export cargo to the facility, clean, pack it, and evacuate it for export?
Okay.
That is the conversation. And I have to tell you that Uganda Railways has already engaged the UPDF to run with the construction of the railway to Gulu. So when such things are in place, and this is what we go to rally the government to fast track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's look at the northern region now, its strategic location. How strategic is it, to promote northern Uganda as a logistic, region, or as a center of attention for those in logistics and export and the like?
I have already said it to you that now Gulu is the center of all those districts: Kitigumu, Noya, Agago, Nebi, Zombo,
like the entire northern.
And the other side, Karamoja, South Lira, and even some of us from central here, Nakasongola, we can evacuate our cargo through Gulu once the facilities have been put. That's why we are asking government to put this facility and make it functional.
Okay, let's look at the retreat again. For the private sector players who wish to be part of the retreat, is it exclusively an invite sort of event? And if so, the others who are interested, how can they take part and follow the proceedings?
Okay, the participation in the private sector is for everybody. Because even those who are not going to come, we have gotten to them, we have relayed information to them, we shall relay the resolutions and the decisions make. But most important, because of space limitations, if you invite every private sector, we shall fill the whole of Kampala. But because of space limitations, we have invited the key participants from the private sector, the key participants from government, local government, parliament, ministries, and all these development partners, because we also have development partners that are working with us, the private sector and the government, to come to one place. Those of us who may not be able to come to Serena, and I'm going to talk about this, can follow us on social media. We have enabled all the social media channels for the general public to follow us.
Okay.
And I want to talk about Serena.
Because I was coming to that. Yeah. You mentioning Serena, and yet we had Gulu City at the backdrop of everything here. How do we now turn to Serena?
We had earlier planned to have it in Gulu, but because all our stakeholders would not be able to go to Gulu, we decided that we hold it in Kampala. Our key stakeholders were not be able to go to be in Gulu at the time that we wanted to hold it. So we decided, since we had made a lot of arrangements, we decided that we hold it in Kampala at Serena Hotel, right behind us here. We are going to move ferrying all our partners in northern Uganda. All of them will be ferried to Kampala. They will be accommodated so that we can have an event as if it is in Gulu. When we are done, when you have the resolutions, when we have the president has given us direction, we shall go back to Gulu, collect them, those who are not able to come. Tell them, agree on a way forward for each of the value chains. We have quite a number of value chains we are running. I hope you'll give me time to talk about it.
Yes, sure thing. Let's start from there when it comes to the value chains that you're running and the agenda towards the same goal of showing that the Uganda has got potential to grow in regards to the exports.
Thank you very much. I'm going to, let me just pick value chain and the district that grows it most. Okay. Most of the districts in northern Uganda grow the same crops, but there are those that grow more. Let me start in the far west, Nebi. Nebi is known for cassava, and they're growing a lot of cassava. Cassava, currently they are doing about 11,000 hectares. And if facilitated, they can double, triple this. That's one district. And the other districts also do the same. They grow cassava. And for cassava is the next crop to wheat and maize in terms of providing carbohydrates, energy to the population. We can export, right now the cassava growing is about $13 million grown in Uganda. And the entire world needs our cassava, not only for eating, but for as industrial inputs. I can give you an example. My colleague, Ramesh Babu of Abacus, set up a facility in Nakasongola, is producing starch.
Okay.
Is producing some pellets, cassava pellets for export. He exports it to India because they eat it a lot. Is producing cassava flour. And the interesting bit about cassava and technology, that's why I, as a manufacturer, is rooting for technological advancement and involvement of the manufacturing fraternity into these value chains. We can demonstrate that from the farm, if you uproot your cassava from the farm, it takes 4 hours to have cassava flour there, ready, packed either for you to mingle or to put on in a container for export. 4 hours. If you have that kind of efficiency, it's great. Other outputs from cassava. From cassava, you can generate biofuel, and you do. Okay? We do generate biofuel, which can power generators. And we shall then lessen the demand on the power that is supplied from the grid. If you have a cassava plant, you are complete. You only need water. You can generate your own power. You can do starch, and starch is a big value chain. It goes into bread, it goes into tablets, medicine, it goes into a host of other things. You also use it to earn your shirts. Those of you, of us who do cotton, know the value of starch, because if you don't have starch, you never get a good shirt.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is cassava, and I can run into fruits, which our people in Yumbe are very famous about. Government has already put a plant, and it was not working very well.
We even have a plant in North. Is it in Eastern Uganda?
No, in the Lida. in Lango there. So these plants are not working very well. So us from the private sector, we are telling government, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And that's why they need us, because we tell them the truth. We are in the business. We know how it works. Yes.
And over the years, the president has been pushing for value addition, like we did mention here. And commercial agriculture, which is also part of our theme for this financial year, because when you do realize the past 3 years we've been running under the same theme, which is also focusing towards the National Development Plan 3 agenda. That is also focusing on commercial agriculture, as much as upholding household incomes is one of those that is being looked at entirely. Now, when you also look at the conversations of the 4-acre model, it is majorly to empower communities, really, and then to see that many of those communities that are into commercial agriculture per se are also earning off it. And northern Uganda, or the northern region of Uganda, is one of those promising regions that really need to tap into commercial agriculture and then continue growing in terms of value addition. When it also comes to our levels of exports, quite important as well. Now, let's turn our focus on supporting local farmers. The private sector is one of those, pivotal sectors of Uganda's economy. The government's mandate always is to ensure that communities are upheld, and meaning even small-scale farmers have to be supported. Now, on the side of the private sector, how do we support local farmers, not only in the northern region? Let's also look at the entire country, because now here it becomes a country kind of thing. It becomes an entire Uganda problem that needs to be addressed.
One of the things, the great thing the NRM government did when it was coming to power this time, it put in place funding to facilitate the farmers.
Okay.
This funding is under the Paris development model is to provide capital to the people. They provide the capital to everybody who is willing. But after growing your crops, what happens?
Next is either you're supposed to sell,
are you supposed to hire a truck and bring it to Owino or bring it to Nakasera and sell it?
Not everyone has the capacity.
Does everyone who has the capacity?
Not really.
No. So what private sector and the industry as such is doing, that we are providing the next step to the Paris development model. We are providing the next step to project wealth creation. We are now placing ourselves as uptakers to buy from the farmers, aggregate it in our stores, then provide it to industry to transform into products for export. Because the farmers, where they are, don't have capacity. They don't have capital to aggregate. They don't have capacity to start setting up industries. They can set up small industry which can add some value and then send it to us to complete the process. But private sector and industry is playing the next big role of storage. You will see a lot of players now investing in silos. Private sector, a silo is about $100,000 US. We are investing in cleaning processes so that when we export our products, they are properly distilled, they are properly cleaned, they don't have aflatoxins because they've been kept dry. And then we transform it. If it is fruit, we have transformed it into pulp and juice that we can export to Tanzania. If it is coffee, we have dehusked it, we have dried it, we have sorted it, and we have roasted it for the export. If it is maize, we have removed the husks. We have made into flour, or we have converted it into biofuel that can be used for other value chains. So this is where private sector and industry comes in, and we are vital link to the market, to the high value added market. Otherwise, if this does not happen at this level, you grow your maize, the price drops to 400 shillings, 300. Mm-hmm. You have invested so much. Because there is no uptaker, the price drops. Because most of these crops are seasonal. The mangoes are seasonal. You need to convert them into pulp and keep it frozen.
Okay. Yeah. And I want in your parting shots to help us give us the dates that were finalized, because we are expecting this to start on the 13th. Yes. And I don't know whether it's still. We were supposed to start on the 12th, yes, which is tomorrow. I don't know whether it's still the same date. Yes. But then also, what other message can you send to the private sector players that are going to be part, and then those who wish to follow the proceedings online and on mainstream?
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues and members of private sector and government and our partners all over the country, this event is not only for northern Uganda, it's for all of us Ugandans, because once we grow our economy, as the president told us, to grow it from $55 billion to 550 in one decade, it's a tall order. We have to do everything that moves our direction. GDP in that direction. Mm. Tomorrow, starting tomorrow, we shall receive the delegates from northern Uganda and the other parts of the country. They come on Friday. We shall have a deep engagement, very deep engagement, and come up with the resolutions. On Saturday, we shall receive our patron, His Excellency, the President Yoweri Museveni, so that we present to him our resolutions. And if he agrees, then we run with them. Those of you who cannot join us at Serena Hotel, please follow us on Twitter, follow us on television, UBC, we shall be live, NBS, we shall be there, NTV, we shall be there, and other local stations like SALT and others, they will be streamed live. Mm. Please follow us, follow the conversation. This is not a conversation for CEOs. This is a conversation for Ugandans. For a long time, we've been talking, why Uganda? You say Pearl of Africa. Now we are converting the pearl into the pearl that you can put on your hand, and everybody sees that I'm from the pearl of Africa. If we say Uganda is endowed with natural resources, this is the time to look at each one of them and add value so that we can now become self-sustainable as an economy, self-sustainable as a food basket for Africa. Let's also use the channels that have been provided through trade, EAC, SADC, COMESA, Africa Free Continental Area, to push our products to the world. Thank you very much. We are looking forward to seeing you at Serena. We are looking forward to continuous engagement. If there is anything that you need clarity, my address is available. I'm the chairman of Uganda Manufacturers Association. If you want to set up a factory and you are challenged, come to us. This is our role. We shall help you to set up. We shall help you to find the right partners. We shall help you to find the right raw materials. We shall find you to register your brand with UNBS. We shall help you to align your taxation with Uganda Revenue Authority. We shall lead you to Export Promotion Council to export your products. It is our duty. We are not doing any favor. We are Ugandans. We benefited from Uganda. Like for me, I was schooled on government bursary, right from HSC. I was going back to my district in Rakai and get bursary. So this is payback time. Thank you very much. All
right, pleasure is ours having you this morning. Now, to you, dear viewer, just a quick reminder. The 5th biannual private CEO retreat is slated for the 12th of September, which is kicking off this Thursday, and with Thursday receiving of different stakeholders from Gulu till the 14th of September, when the president will be attending the main event on Saturday. And please do note that the event will as well be live on your national broadcaster on UBC, so do follow up for more updates and the proceedings that do follow. And shall we be having this particular one in Gulu? No, but we shall be having Gulu coming to Kampala. But of course, after that, like my guest this morning has shared, after the recommendations, more of the updates will be coming along with touring the Gulu Logistics Hub, and also to ensure that these particular recommendations are worked upon and that the Gulu Logistics Hub is fully open and creating potentials and an opportunity for all of the stakeholders to gain from the same. Now, the theme is Battle to Greenfield, transforming northern Uganda into a commercialized logistical hub for export. Now, my guest this morning has been Deo Kayemba, who is the board member, Presidential CEO Forum, in a conversation that we've been having here, rotating around the 5th biannual private CEO retreat.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel